Hey everybody, my name is Harry Bill and this is my FMP pitch. So my aim for this year is to produce multiple assets and models to show a variety of skills that I've learned over the past year or two. I need to improve upon skills such as modelling and research throughout this entire thing. Explore and experiment with different art styles as I want to broaden up how my art skills. And like I said over there, improve drawing and art skills, create a professional piece that's fully flushed out and smooth, and again a wide variety and a plethora of research. So my synopsis. So for this final major project, I want to have a combination of a variety of themes instead of just one. So I've chose to research into these themes, which are perception, juxtaposition, catastrophes, and reality, and merge them all into one. I'm planning to use all the skills that I've built up over the last 2 years, such as asset creation, character modelling, concept art, world building, vertical slices, and learn other new skills if they're necessary for me. So I want to work more in 3D as that's my strong point, and rather do that than move over to a completely style that I'm not too sure of. But I plan to also use 2D as well, just so I can improve my skills upon it for any later things I do. I want to add depth to my work as well and try and improve on the detail of work and how much work I do, such as research. I know I covered much in that in previous projects. I plan to use Photoshop as I've used that in my past 7 years, even beyond college. Through this Max, and I plan to develop more skills in After Effects, Premiere, and maybe Unreal Engine if I get an opportunity to use that. I'll be doing a plethora again of sketchbook work, experimentation with different materials such as chalk, pastels, paint, and traditional pencil. So here's my mind map for perception. Now for perception, I chose to research into mental disorders that affect how people perceive life and reality. So I've looked into multiple, and these are three that were eye-catching to me. So there's one called Cotard disorder, which is a disorder where people think they are dead or immortal. Symptoms of this will be loss of emotion, loss of feel in them. They basically practically feel dead. They personally believe that their organs have all shut down in their body, and they believe they're dead, but they're also alive, which causes attempting of suicides. The only way of to prevent this is antidepressants and other sort of types of medication like that. There's another one here. I think it's prosopagnosia. I did try to look up the word, but I forgot how to pronounce it. It's a type of eye deficiency which can't recognise people's faces. So it's hard to look at loved ones same as a stranger. You often get confused, which can affect people's lives drastically. I don't think there's actually a treatment for this. It's just a thing that happens in their everyday life. There was something that I researched into that people actually, instead of mistaken a person for another one, they mistaken a person for a hat. And there's Capgras delusion, which makes people believe that a loved one has been replaced by an identical copy of them, or an imposter. The only treatment for this that is successful is electroconvulsive therapy, which I haven't really looked into that specifically, but that is usually treatment. Next thing I looked into was juxtaposition, is a mini mind map that I made of it. I looked into light and dark, and looked into different ways it's been used in pieces. So in the Bible for Christianity, light is seen as good in the Bible, which in the Bible in Genesis, God created light, which is deemed as a good thing, which made people be able to see, and Jesus portrayed in the Bible overall as the light of the world. Overall, when I did some research, primarily I saw light as a good thing anyway, as most movies, when you see light, it also contrasts into a good thing, and then evil would be portrayed as darkness. Then I looked at Shakespeare, and darkness portrayed as evil and bad in most of his plays, such as Macbeth, where Lady Macbeth committed suicide. Shakespeare used the famous line, which is out, brief candle, which resembles death, and also resembles darkness. Light and dark are imagery of bad and good, which is used metaphorically in most movies. Series and games. Dark is seen as bad in the world, but light seems good, like previously stated. Here's my theme on catastrophes. I made a mind map for that. And I researched into multiple different catastrophes, but I added 2 on my pitch that stood out. The main one is Chernobyl, which is a place in North Korea, a famous power plant that was made in 1986, which they said caused an emergency evacuation where a group of people, what's it called, safety people, did a safety check on the reactor. They carried out safety checks incorrectly, which caused the power plant to explode, specifically reactor 4, which killed 31 military personnel, helping to prevent it. I found out that the radiation was as powerful as 450 atomic bombs that were used for Hiroshima in 1940s, and it increased viral cancer and mutations over Ukraine. Another one, which is a fairly recent catastrophe, is Grenfell Towers, which is an apartment block in North Kensington that burnt down because of the cladding was flammable. It was caused by a kitchen that went on fire used by a faulty fridge. Within hours, the entire building engulfed in flames, which killed 75 people, which was confirmed, and confirmed that fire brigade has saved 65 of them. It was one of the worst tragedies that was made in UK history. So overall, my research, I did some previous research, which I went to a London trip to the Science and Natural History Museum, which I've used later on in research. I received Grenfell, Chernobyl, light and dark, and also mental disorders. My next research, I plan to go to London for more research, as it's a main landmark for museums. For secondary research, I plan to research more different catastrophes that could help out with my final project. Juxtaposition research, as I only did a brief amount, which I want to do more of to learn more. And extensive research on how people perceive reality as its main component. Now, also I did some more experimentation work on thought of an idea and saw if it's possible. So I learned how to do destruction in 3ds Max, which I basically use Pro Boolean in 3ds Max to create shapes and destroy objects, like here. I then experiment with different lights, specifically in a new light that I use called Mesh Light, which allows me to create a new object and emit light from it. So the first 2 you see are the spiral light going through buildings. I made at the bottom, which is hard to see, a car park. I did more lights at the top. And inside that destroyed building, I created another light inside there. Here I didn't get any renders, but I did some more experimentation on world building. Here you see a height map that I used and imported it into a plane 3ds Max to create a land environment, which could be used for world building later on in like FMP when I get into modern stages. Here is kind of hard to see, but I researched into depth of field. So depth of field creates more focus on an object. In this one, you can see the background's like blurry and it's giving more attention to this object over here. Whereas off, everything's all in focus. So my target audience for this piece, as I haven't, I'm not that far into my FMP, I don't really know what the target audience will be, but through looking into research, I aim for it to be for all age ranges originally, but as catastrophes could be unsettling for younger ages, I plan to at least 7 and up, with gender being for everyone, as it's all inclusive. For equipment, I had pretty simple on here for all my equipment that are being used. The main things I didn't add is obviously a computer access and Wi-Fi access, which is pretty self-explanatory. But I plan to use software Autodesk for 3ds Max, Adobe for Photoshop, After Effects, and Premiere. I plan to use a sketchbook for my sketchbook work designs and whatnot. Hopefully, if I have time, to use Unreal Engine, so I could maybe make an in-game sort of software, and a camera for my primary research and to get inspiration. So here are my influences for the project. So obviously I talked about how I'm going to do like make catastrophes perception and stuff. This is called car books, what attacks like Chernobyl, destroyed buildings and stuff, more of an apocalyptic setting. More research on reality and like how like different perceptions of reality kind of merge into themes. So moving on to my potential problems, I could potentially have a scratch this for all over this space as I had in previous projects. This could cause my work to be completely lost and it'll be hard to get back. Rendering times, as if I use college computers, it'll be limited to what I can render as a lack of time. And hopefully at home, but render times could be crucial depending on how realistic I make something. Textures could go missing as I could forget to save them onto my USBs, and they could potentially break as well. My file NUSB could corrupt. I could forget to save links to research that I did, and I could forget the screenshot overall, which could be a big problem. How I choose to resolve these problems is for this space, I can constantly save my work, use backups if needed, so even though I lost work, I don't lose too much work. Rendering times, I'm going to try and simplify the scene as I know I've got a deadline and I want to try and meet that deadline without having to make things complicated. For textures that are missing, I'll try to locate or recreate the files, at least keep them organised as I go through. If they break, I'll have to just recreate them. There's no other way of fixing that. My file used to be corrupted, I'll just keep a backup USB, which I already do have, that has all my work previously. And whenever I finish work, I'll just clone the USB. I'll try and relocate links and then backward screenshot if I lose my screenshots. So this is my schedule for my FMP. Currently I'm on rule throughout my FMP, so I don't lose track of things. Currently I'm on week 3, which is presenting my pitch and looking for feedback. Beforehand I did some research into exploration and or themes. After this I'm going to look into feedback, I'm going to gain more research so I understand what I'm doing, and then start doing some initial design storyboards throughout the week. And then I'm going to give myself 2 weeks to model and render, which should give me a lot of time as I do model fairly quick in some cases, which should give me time for me to render it, show it with any animations, all my research, my evaluations, and put on my blog ready for the hand-in, which is on week 12. Any questions?
No questions? Thank you, Harry.